What's good, y'all? It's your boy Blak G 92. Now for this, it's gonna be this evening, but it's gonna be uploaded sometime this coming Sunday because I do plan on uploading more reaction videos starting not this Sunday, but the Sunday coming up. So it's gonna be this Sunday. So I should have just said that this Sunday. So first video is gonna be on the agenda. Probably the second one I upload, perhaps. So we just have to wait and see, depending on which one I choose to upload first. But yeah, the first one I'm gonna do for this evening is for not more so this, but it's gonna be for the music, not the music video, but for the YouTuber, the Critical Drinker, titled "The Death of the Girlboss?" ? And that's a good question. I think it is kind of that whole trend of having these bland and OP female characters is kind of coming to an end. That whole trend where the only selling point that there's somehow a strong female character instead of being a strong character that happens to be a woman, you know what I mean? So there's a clear difference between the two. But anyway, let's get to it.
Now, I believe it was Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite the same way in the world of corporate entertainment, where the rule would be better described as, for every 50 or so actions, there's an extremely belated and insufficient reaction. A good example of this would be the disastrous series of flops we've seen over the past year or two. Projects like Rings of Power, Peter Pan and Wendy, Ahsoka, She-Hulk, Resident Evil, Robin Hood, The Witcher, The Marvels, and this
especially the Robin Hood show, because holy fuck. Based on what I've watched from J Longbone's video and her reactions to those episodes, the show is ass. For real. Straight ass. Let's go ahead and rewind it. But all those shows and those movies definitely flopped. Failed to miss the mark.
A series of flops we've seen over the past year or two. Projects like Rings of Power, Peter Pan and Wendy, Ahsoka, She-Hulk, Resident Evil, Robin Hood, The Witcher, The Marvels, and most recently, Madam Web.
Yep.
Did you say that? I mean, let's be honest here, that was a movie that anyone with more brain cells than me after 6 pints of Skull Splitter knew was going to be a massive flop, despite having an opening weekend almost as long as its entire theatrical run if it carries on at this pace.
For real.
This quote from The Hollywood Reporter from a North American distributor. On Wednesday night, you could actually watch advance ticket sales declining in real time as buyers were refunding their tickets. It really says something when you'd rather have Shazam 2 numbers.
Damn.
The point is that when a big flop like this happens, the access...
Let me pause it real quick. Yeah, I mean, it was... When I saw the trailer, I knew that the film was going to fail. And based on, like I said, I don't want to just go off of reviews because I still want to, I'm still kind of curious to see for myself if the film is as bad as, say, everyone else is saying. But, you know what I mean? Seeing the numbers and, of course, going to another trusted source, Altiori, it seemed like it was not worth the ticket, worth the money to see in theaters. So I might wait till it comes on Disney Plus. I might do so. Or I get a bootleg somewhere. I might do that.
Tends to scramble to find a convenient and politically acceptable excuse. But in this case, The Hollywood Reporter seems to have made an admission about the film's target audience that I don't think anyone expected.
Right.
Quote, "I don't know if women are enough to carry the box office here," one veteran studio source outside of Sony says. Indeed, males make up 65 to 70% of the superhero audience in North America. In the case of Madam Web, the percentage of female viewers was still only 46%.
God damn.
Now pay attention, 007, because this one's important. Madam Web was a superhero movie specifically designed to appeal to a female audience. It's got a female lead, a trio of female supporting characters, a female director, and a female-led writing team. And guess what? None of it helped.
Damn.
Women didn't turn out to see it. Not in the numbers they needed anyway. It was the same problem with The Marvels. That film had 3 female leads, a female director, and an all-female writing team. And what happened to it? The male audience was put off by a movie that did everything except ban them from attending screenings. The much anticipated female audience failed to show up, and as a result, it was the biggest box office flop in MCU history. So tell me, what exactly did these two movies have in common? That's right, they both tried to pander to an audience that was never going to see them in the first place.
Right.
You know, it's actually kind of funny reading articles from mainstream outlets that cover stuff like this, because it's like watching someone with an almost complete jigsaw puzzle who simply refuses to put the final piece into place because they don't like the picture that it forms. Well, if they won't do it, then I'll have to do it for them. Because here's an inconvenient truth, dear viewer. Men and women tend to be interested in different things. I know it's truly an earth-shattering revelation, but there.
It shouldn't even be that. It shouldn't be a surprise at this point. I mean, granted, those interests may intersect, but you know, it's like a simple truth. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like a earth-shattering or offensive like statement neither. But you know, it just shows how disconnected people are with reality at this point. So I was gonna just sit through and just see what Drinker has to say on this subject.
In fact, if you care to break down the box office statistics by gender, you'll find that women make up 85% of audiences for romance movies and 70% for musicals. Men, on the other hand, make up 70% of the audience for superhero movies, 75% for action movies, and 65% for science fiction and fantasy. In fact, this nifty little graphic from the British Film Institute breaks down the preferred genres for men and women, and you can clearly see the difference in preference between them. That's not a good or a bad thing.
No, absolutely not.
It is a thing that movie studios should pay attention to. Instead, they've been doing the exact opposite in recent years. They seem to regard audience demographics as a problem that needs to be fixed, instead of the inevitable result of different groups of people having different interests. And the thing is, their solution has produced the worst possible outcome for everyone. In the case of the big box office franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and others, which naturally tend to skew towards a male audience, they made a conscious decision to tell more stories with female leads. A lot more. There's nothing wrong with that on the face of it, but whether or not it works all comes down to implementation. Instead of writing likeable and distinctly feminine characters that complemented the existing male ones, the writers and creatives treated it more like a competition that only one side was ever allowed to win. A story about a female protagonist learning to free herself from the oppressive demands of others and discover her true potential is a perfectly viable story to tell. The problems creep in when that becomes the only story that you ever tell, and their standard practice of lazily taking stereotypical male traits and pouring them straight into female characters failed to win anyone over. Men were generally put off by the new crop of overbearing, aggressive, infallible girl bosses who seem to exist purely to show off and humiliate their male counterparts at every opportunity, while women failed to connect with them either because they represented masculine ideals that didn't come naturally to them in a genre that most of them didn't particularly care for anyway. In short, Hollywood's wasted billions of dollars chasing an audience that doesn't exist, and in the process, they've gradually pushed away the one that did. On the flip side, look at what happens when you actually understand your target audience and make a film that caters specifically to them. Barbie was the biggest hit of 2023, and even if
that is very true. That movie was sold like fucking hotcakes, especially on the opening weekend alongside Oppenheimer. Like that whole Barbieheimer shit that was going on, the cross promotion. Now, I have watched a review and based on the clips, kind of sloppy on the storyline and the messaging, whatever, more so like how executed the story, whatever. But like it seemed like the acting was kind of solid based on the clips from said review I've watched and such and what may have you. And of course, you did have the opening, which kind of like bends some facts of obviously puts a certain agenda. Other than that, seemed like it was a good time for an audience it was made for. So, hey, hats off for like that movie making millions in the box office and appealing to that audience. So,
didn't like it. That doesn't matter one bit because it wasn't made for me. It was a movie written and directed specifically for women. Everything from its aesthetics to its dialogue to its themes and messaging were designed to appeal to female audiences, and it worked big time. Top Gun Maverick, on the other hand, was aimed primarily at men because it incorporated so many of the masculine tropes and themes that men traditionally find appealing. Action and explosions, advanced technology, fighter jets, militarism, macho conflict and competition. Both of these films achieved massive success because they understood their core audience and how to appeal to them. Now imagine how detrimental it would have been if the studios tried to incorporate elements that appealed to the opposite gender, like if Barbie's colourful exploration of female identity, empowerment and self-actualization was interrupted by big macho action scenes with guns and explosions and technology porn.
It'll be so
or
off.
Top Gun Maverick devoted lengthy sequences to a female pilot lamenting how difficult it is to gain respect in a male-dominated profession while maintaining her sense of feminine identity identity and her aspirations for marriage and family. In both cases, the core target audience would probably have rolled their eyes and thought, why do they have to inject this crap into my movie and totally spoil the fun? Well, congratulations, now you know how it feels to be a fan of any of the big franchises over the past decade or so. The thing is, I think the message is finally starting to sink in with the good people of Hollywood. Maybe not the creatives, but definitely the soulless money men paying their salaries who've spent the past several years watching their profit margins slowly fall off a cliff. Like I said earlier, for every 50 or so actions, there's a belated reaction from Hollywood, and it's finally starting to happen now.
Yeah.
The first domino to fall is Silk Spider Society, a female-centric Spider-Man spin-off in development at Amazon Prime. According to the press releases, the entire writing team's been fired, and the show is being refocused with a more male-skewing audience.
Damn, that show production must have been ass for it to kind of overhaul the staff like that. Then again, we wouldn't know because it didn't come out.
Now, this might not sound like much of a big deal, but it is, because it's the first time that a studio.
Matter of fact, let me go ahead and rewind this, because he did say it came out, right?
Off in development at Amazon Prime. According to the press releases, the entire writing team's been fired, and the show is being refocused with a more male-skewing audience in mind. Now, this might not sound like much of a big deal, but it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the first time that a studio had the balls to publicly declare that they're targeting a project towards a male audience again. In 2024, that's the equivalent of a vegan restaurant saying that their new menu is going to cater towards meat eaters. It's the first time that anyone in Hollywood's openly admitted that what they've been pushing on us for the past decade or so just isn't working, no matter how much money they throw at it.
Yeah.
That you can't make every movie appeal to every person.
Oh, absolutely
that
not.
trying to attract female audiences into a male-dominated genre with clumsy pandering doesn't work and never will work. In the words of Nerdrotic, all they're doing is taking boy brands that everyone could enjoy and turning them into girl brands that no one enjoys. So what exactly can we expect now that the pendulum's starting to swing the other way? And more importantly, what do we want to see moving forwards? Well, believe it or not, I don't think their approach needs to change that radically if they want to win back old fans and restore a bit of balance. Franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, DC and Star Trek can still have plenty of kick-ass female heroes going on exciting adventures. They just need to be written more like actual human beings with believable flaws and weaknesses and challenges to overcome, instead of overbearing, obnoxious power fantasies that nobody can identify with. And they need to be balanced out by equally strong and capable male heroes that appeal to male audiences. Because believe it or not, those are the driving force behind your box office revenue. They need characters who can actually challenge and push them to be better, who don't automatically give way to them at the slightest sign of conflict, instead of the neutered lumps of wet lettuce that we've been given, who are always portrayed as less smart, less skilled, less confident, and, well, just less in general. And yeah, after almost a decade of trying to make it work, I think it's about time to accept that the great experiment has been a complete failure. You're not going to get equal numbers of women to watch science fiction or action or superhero movies, just like you're not going to get equal numbers of men to watch romance flicks or musicals. The Girlboss concept is dead. You might not like it, but your audience is your audience all the same, and if you don't start catering to them, you might just find that they no longer exist, and perhaps neither will you. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now.
Another well-researched video from The Drinker. And he bring up some good very solid points as such, and if his predictions anything to go off of, like, I think it is. I mean, go off of as far as the end of this whole girl boss era trend, whatever. Hold up, and just overall pandering to a specific audience. You know what I mean, to draw them in when, like, the audience already exists. May not be in the number that you may want in, say, franchise, but pandering and doing these ham-fisted sort of one-dimensional like characters and such, it's going to drive that audience, going to draw in a way, because like they already understand what's going on. They see the game being played, and plus the diehard is going to have something to say about it, because it ain't the franchise they grew up reading and watching is what for years and such. So yeah, I think it's about time I would give that balance again. You know what I mean? Just write good stories with interesting, diverse characters with their own motivations, dreams, fears, and all that good shit, and perhaps maybe you get people interested in investing money to see movies in the theaters again. You know what I mean? Because the way this economy set up, like, ain't nobody gonna waste money seeing some of my mediocre ass film, you know what I mean? Like, especially with the recent Marvel films and shows, you know what I mean? Based on what I've like seen as far as clips and such, what I've read. Yeah. It is about that time that Hollywood takes notice. For they end up crashing and burning, and that trend dies off in December. You know what I mean? Not in the whimper. So, anyway, if you want me to react to more of these Critical Drinker videos, post them in the comment section below. I gotta read this little comment saying nothing says I've touched like making movies for women, then get mad at men for not being interested in them. Facts. I don't think we are out of the cringe era yet. Western gaming and Disney still has more money to lose. Yeah, we just gotta buckle our seatbelts and hold on to our butts. So, hey. But anyway, post them in the comment section. Want to react to more of these little like video commentary, these old movie commentary type of videos. And also, this is the first time I watch this reaction video. Be sure to hit that like button, that notification button, that subscribe button, and everything else that comes with it. This your boy Blak G92 about to sign off. Holla at your boy. Peace.